So here we have the Finchley Road fraud story, and a wonderful man, Gordon Bowden. Here he is outside 788 to 790 Finchley Road, London, Northwest 11, 7TJ. Now, although I'm not there at the moment, I lived in Hampstead, and Finchley Road was about 10 minutes, 15 minutes walk down the road from where I lived. I knew Finchley Road extremely well. However, the infamous address of 788 to 790 was discovered to be a place where a lot of fraud by people in high places was going on. So I won't read it at the moment, but we'll come down here, and it's also in South Africa, Pretoria, and also involves, here we've got biggest money laundering scam UK ever seen, uncovered by Gordon Bowden. So there's the address of Finchley Road, involving Blair, Brown, Cameron, and probably quite a few others. So, and basically what they were doing is, as I understand it, creating shell companies and then putting money into them. The shell companies, it's a particular way of putting it, where it's just a name, but nothing is going on. It's just a cover for money laundering. Walter Burin, many years ago, I discovered Walter Burin had also discovered that in America, the United States were doing the same thing. When I went to a conference and I was talking to one of the gentlemen that were there, I mentioned Walter Burin. He said, I know what the United States were doing came directly from Britain. And very much later, the next dot came in, and I discovered that Gordon Bowden had uncovered what was going on in Britain by people, many people in high places. Now, along with his website, which is called pandorasbox.com, there is a very good interview with Field McConnell before he was flung into jail, and of Bowden telling the story. So I'm putting that link in as well. So here we go. Come off there. So here's Field McConnell. It's January the 10th, 2019. In England, we put the day first and then the month. But this is an American link, so it's the January the 10th. And I'll go back a little. He's explaining.
Aware that one day a lady came and asked you a question. Can we just take it from there?
This is the point. A lady came and asked. He's just starting to explain how he became involved in this thing.
$50,000 into a capital venture investment. And I had no idea how this was being panned out. It was a private interest. But after 3 months, she came to me. She said, I think there's something wrong. Can you have a look at the paperwork? She was then asked to reinvest it for a further 3 months at a 25 or 30% return on her investment. And I said, yeah, well, just show me the paperwork. I quickly gathered that you don't put $50,000 without any addresses and just a mobile phone number, which I then found out was a sat phone. Now, sat phones normally go to, especially if you're operating offshore or away from the country where the investment was being held.
Yeah.
That's how it started. It then ran to an introduction to 2 attorneys of law who did 2 dossiers on the money trail to attempt this recovery. After 2 years, there was no civil recovery. The money was being moved around, so we were told. And then I started doing my own investigations using my ability as an engineer to look at and dismantle complex paperwork.
Yeah.
So I used the two attorneys of law dossiers. I then found out by people that I brought in. One was South Africa's best private investigator, who I knew his father as a fisherman, you understand? Sea
Yes.
fishing. He was a policeman. He then started his own private investigative company. Christian Water, you can put him in the internet, you can check him. He was brilliant.
Sorry, could you repeat his name again for him, please, Gordon, so I can do that?
Christian Water, B-O-T-H-A, B-O-T-H-A, Water.
Christian Botha was the investigative, he was a policeman. Now, what I think is very important, because what we're seeing is the blatant criminality that has been going on under our very noses. And remember the Bernie Madoff scandal, and that even Hampshire County Council, I'm in the county of Hampshire at the moment, Hampshire County Council got screwed by, they went into it. But that doesn't surprise me, because the councils were involved, I don't know about all, many probably, involved in some of these scams. But if you put in juxtaposition the everyday, I'm just going to say everyday person, but who is honest and who is prepared to do a tremendous amount of work and research, unpaid, to get to the bottom of these things. And this is what is apparent now. So many people are coming from honesty and integrity and finding these things out.
Botha.
That was Christian Botha.
Yeah. Anyway, so he went and got some paperwork for me on these individuals to show their companies that they were registered to and their previous occupation. And that's where I found the intrigue which has led me here today. And that was, these were senior High Commission diplomatic intelligence officers and the old CCB police officers. Senior.
Yeah.
So I knew from that point that these people were real pieces of excrement. Quite adverse. They were working with people in the apartheid government, senior government, in Dr. Death Wouter Basson, who was well linked to Dr. David Kelly.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they exchanged information in the chemical field with Wouter Basson. And at that time, we then, because this became a criminal case, our two attorneys did an introduction to the Scorpions, which were the anti-corruption police, and we handed the files over to them at our restaurant. They decided to take the case on, and then I started. They had it for 18 months, and they said, "Oh, it's a dead end." We
Listen to that. They said it's a dead end. How often has that happened? Either they've been threatened or they've been coerced.
lost all these people. They've all done a runner out of the country. But I used my sort of recovery of intelligence to find out. Yes, they fled the country, but I can track and trace most people in my life. Found out one had gone to the Gulf states, the other one had gone to Austria, and I just carried on finding out who the scumbags were involved in this particular fraud, and then I recovered some court documents that I had couriered down from Pretoria to show that these people had done it before. And the reason The reason that they got away with it, that I found out.
The man that's talking, and I should have introduced this, is Gordon Bowden. And the other man, well, they're both Welshmen, is somebody that was introducing Gordon Bowden, who's called Gobsmack, and introducing Gordon Bowden to Field McConnell.
There's one, the head of the Scorpions operations unit, was actually working with the mate son.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, so her name was Ianda.
Oh,
And he was...
we're getting some feedback.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of... I don't know what that is. It's not this end.
That's okay. I think it came from Plum City. So basically, can I just take you back a second, Gordon?
Yeah.
The scheme, when you met these men, this was not a company that actually existed, that had just fallen on troubled times. But it had been created specifically as a Ponzi scheme.
Yes.
Then you discovered that not only was that a complete Ponzi scheme, but the head of the investigation division was actually involved in the cartel. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, the head of the investigation was also involved in this criminal cartel. It is so huge. This is what I'm discovering. I'm realizing it is so huge. Now, it's a long one. It's 3 hours and 10 minutes that. I'm not going to play all that. But do listen to it. And I haven't listened to it all, but that you will hear the story of what's been going on connected to the UK. Now, here is one, and it's called Project Hammer Reloaded, Deep Black Lies. Okay, also about the money. So I'll just read, this is David Guat, 2003, the background. Beginning in 1988 and lasting until approximately 1992, Project Hammer was the latest in a series of highly secretive banking practices known as collateral trading programs that are used to create, as if by magic, large amounts of unaccountable funds for use in specific projects. And how this was explained to me many years ago is that they were continuously rolled over, and one had been told that you would get your money by a certain time, and then it didn't come. Oh, it was in another rollover. These vast pools of unvouched slush funds are applied to finance a wide variety of clandestine activities that include secret military projects, geopolitical requirements, and the development of infrastructure projects. It is also whispered that in the case of Project Hammer program, at least that a percentage of the proceeds generated from the secretive activity found their way into the pockets of VIPs and well-known politicians. Names associated with such corrupt behavior are carried on the wind, but if one listens attentively, the names George Bush Sr. and Jim Baker III are just discernible to the trained ear. An example of the type of projects that these funds are expended on was the trading program known as EFG Jacobi, a procedure of Hammer that was, I understand, used largely to finance military facilities and related operations at the top-secret US Pine Gap base located near Alice Springs in Australia.